Our mission is to help all of you advance your careers. Welcome home.
FinOps is a space to connect, to learn, to share. It's an opportunity to be with those who get you, with those who do the work you do every day.
And we hear a lot of people talking about AI almost as a dedicated segment, or one might say scope. So who went to a party last night? All right, who went to all the parties last night?
I have really been enjoying all of the sessions about expanding FinOps scopes into other areas and really just extending FinOps reach.
Even people that you never met before, they'll come up to you and discuss anything and everything about FinOps.
So let's talk about AI.
Let's talk about AI.
Good morning. My name is J.R. Storment, coming to you from San Diego, California. We are going to get started right after the fine print. This is an open community forum. Please have your camera on so you can participate. Use the chat to talk now. At the end, we'll have some open Q&A, questions. Remember, it's an open forum. Be kind, be inclusive. Don't share confidential information. And please, no sales pitches. We want to hear your knowledge, not your advertisements. This is the April 2026 FinOps Virtual Summit. We do about 10 of these a year, and this is the last one before FinOps X in San Diego. And this one is on that side of the coin that has suddenly become very, very relevant, AI for FinOps. In the next 60 minutes, we are going to cover a lot of topics. We're going to hear about the upcoming Focus release. We're going to get a primer on AI for FinOps. We're going to hear about alerts to agents. We're going to hear some news about the ITAM Forum, talk about the hype to the helpful aspects of AI, and hear all about a recap from Google Next. We are the FinOps Foundation. Myself and my team all work for the Linux Foundation, which is the global nonprofit trade association. The larger organization hosts the Linux kernel and Kubernetes and now things like MCP. Here at the FinOps Foundation, we focus on you. We are advancing the people who manage the value of technology. There's over 100,000 of you in the community around the world, tens of thousands of you trained, and you're managing collectively trillions of dollars of technology spent. The FinOps Foundation is a membership-based trade association, which means these fantastic companies help support our mission by providing us guidance, strategy, and funding to help all of you in advancing your careers. Welcome to 3 new premier members since our last summit, UST, FinOps, and MagicOrange. We're going to hear from 2 of those shortly. Thank you to our governing board. This is a big group of people. We have a lot of conversations. Over 50 of us come together multiple times a year to talk about the future of this space and how the foundation will progress. Thank you to all these folks for all their guidance and healthy debates about hot topics that we often get into. We have 2 new governing board members who've joined as premier members. We wanted to give about 45 seconds each to do a quick intro and say hello to the community. So first, a man with a name after my own heart, JT Giri from FinOps. Over to you, JT.
Thanks, Chair. Hey, guys. My name is JT Giri. I'm the CEO of FinOps. I've been in cloud ecosystem ever when EC2 was in beta. Back in days, we used to convince people to migrate to cloud, and everyone used to tell me, cloud is not secure. And, but one thing that was exciting about those early days was that, infrastructure was changing drastically. I feel the same now with AI. Infrastructure is changing every day. And this is where FinOps comes in. We optimize commitments for cloud across all three cloud providers. And the way we optimize your commitments is, we reduce your long-term commitment risk and deliver maximum savings. Our pricing model is based on the savings we deliver, which is very important right now because there's a lot of uncertainty about how the infrastructure should look. So taking care of commitments is very important. Thanks, Chair.
Welcome, JT. And David Harding, who I had the pleasure of meeting in London a few weeks back. Welcome, David.
Absolutely. I thought we had 60 seconds, JL, but I'll give it a go.
Better get going.
I'm going to give it a go in 45. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name's David Harding. I'm the CEO of MagicOrange. We are a converged FinOps and ITFM platform focused on bringing cost, consumption, and accountability together so you can answer the day's most pressing questions like how is AI being deployed across this company, or perhaps more presently, how the hell are we going to pay for it? My personal background, I was a technology COO at Morgan Stanley for many years, previously at Credit Suisse too, where I led their first global cost transparency programs before the foundation was perhaps a glint in JR's eye. And if you remember one thing, I want you to remember the MagicOrange guy. Our name, in fact, comes from inspired by Steve Norman, who was CIO at Merrill Lynch a few years ago, who described his role as a CIO feeling like a MagicOrange. He was being asked to cut his budget by 10% year after year after year without deprecating service. And I'm sure for many of you on the call, that's what you feel like.
Oh. It was actually 60 seconds, and you nailed it. Thank you. And always been curious about that name. So great story. Hey, so before we talk about AI, although I think ITAM is also talking a lot about AI, we want to talk about some of the convergence in FinOps and ITAM space. ITAM is IT asset management or software asset management. We talked about this in September in Amsterdam. We see FinOps and ITAM as two portions, two sides to the governance coin, one side focusing heavily on risk and compliance, one side focusing heavily on value and cost. And very excited to announce officially that the ITAM Forum is now a part of the Linux Foundation. We've been working on this for many months with Martin Thompson there and the crew who have been leading the charge over the years. This was formalized just a few weeks back, and excited to share some information about this. So first of all, the ITAM Forum is chartered as a sister organization to the FinOps Foundation. So they're set up in the same way with a governing board, a directed fund, future technical advisory council, and we're functioning as an independent brand and entity in the Linux Foundation. Now, as part of the transition, the great leader of the ITAM Forum who took them through so much of this, Martin Thompson, has decided to step back to focus on some other ventures, and he's passing the baton into the Linux Foundation and this governing board and staff to, really focus on handing over the reins to the LF and move things to the next place. So first and foremost, wanted to give a big thank you and shout out to Martin Thompson for all of his efforts. And I wanted to welcome the chair of what's called the trustee board, is now the governing board. Previously was Ron Brill and Salome Keet to share a bit more about what is happening. I think Ron was going to go first.
Yeah, thank you, JR. The ITAM Forum's board and employees will, of course, continue to develop best practices and support the ITAM community. And throughout this transition, everyone at the FinOps Foundation has been extremely helpful. So we really appreciate that. And we see a real opportunity for closer collaboration between ITAM Forum and the FinOps Foundation, both in advancing best practices and across our event programs. And finally, as you mentioned, JR, on behalf of the board and on behalf of the entire ITAM community, for that matter, I want to thank Martin Thompson for his stewardship of the ITAM Forum since its inception. His leadership has shaped where we are today, and we're deeply grateful.
Thank you so much, Ron. And yeah, big +1 on all the amazing work that Martin has done. And Salome, what's been your experience, and where do you see things coming?
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, JR. Also, I just want to say thank you, Martin, for leading us to where we were and where we are today. We really appreciate it. As an end user trustee for the last 5 years, I think the ITAM Forum has been a source of inspiration and knowledge for me and for a lot of other people. And I just want to say thank you to Martin to bring us to where we are today. I also just want to mention, so Ron and I will be at FinOps X as well next month. So we're looking forward to that. And our first trustee board meeting will be held at FinOps X as well. Thank you, JR, for assisting us with that. There's also going to be chalk talks and all kinds of excitement in terms of trying to collaborate and get ITAM and FinOps to really do what they do best. And for me, that would be to collaborate and to make sure that we can take IT expenditure and instead of showing it as IT expenditure, showing it as smarter business value. And I really believe ITAM and FinOps together can do that.
Thank you, Salome. And I think you deserve an award for traveling to San Diego all the way from South Africa. So excited to see you in person. And we don't have them on the call because they're running another webinar right now, but the LF folks, or formerly ITAM Forum team, that are going to be part of this, AJ, Witt, Tazveer, and Jennifer there. So hope to introduce them on a future call. So from the state of FinOps data, you probably saw all of this at the beginning of the year, a lot of integrations with ITAM and software as a management. We are also working, and stay tuned for announcements at the conference on ITFM integrations in terms of best practices. We're doing a ton of interviews of all of you who have both ITFM and FinOps practices, and we're seeing a lot of overlap. And guess what everybody is talking about? How to manage AI and AI value. It's amazing to see all the personas having the same questions. Check out FinOps.org. We have, as usual, hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of open source assets that you can to look at the intersections between FinOps and ITAM. Load these into your favorite LLM, ask it questions, create slides, whatever you need to do. There's a lot of information there. I was going through with our team, with Samantha and Rob and Vaz, breakout preparations for FinOps X. And just yesterday, I was on a talk prep by 84.51, which is a Kroger company. And right in the middle of their FinOps slide, I saw this bit about ITAM costs working in alongside their focus data. So this is the type of integrated integration. This wasn't even an ITAM talk that we're seeing across the board. Other interesting assets coming up on the website, FinOps.org. There's a bunch of FinOps for AI materials. We're starting to call this increasingly AI value. I'm hearing token economics in a ton of executive conversations. Look for the best practices dropping all over the website there, as well as tooling and service considerations, managing tokens, managing the value outputs, MCP integrations. There's a lot there. And coming very soon on the back of this call will be AI for FinOps, how to use AI for FinOps fundamentals. Also really excited. There's so much dropping right now. Just yesterday on the left, you'll see Sonali Niswander from MetLife. We just published a piece. She is in our executive program. I had the privilege to interview her a few weeks back. She's going to be keynoting FinOps X, talking about how speed and discipline have to come together in the world of AI to manage technology value at a major insurer and financial services company. And of course, check out all those other insights articles there as well. This is on FinOps.org/insights. I've had 4 weeks of travel. A lot of my staff has too. I don't know if everybody had all 4, but had some combination. We were in London just a few weeks ago, 24th of March. And it was a great time. Many of you were there. Please say hi in the chat if you were at the London event. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot, and it was a little mini FinOps X with some great conversations. So excited that we got to get all of that. Those are all available on YouTube now as well. So definitely go check that content out. But the big thing, as you know, we are 38 days from FinOps X. This is the period of time where myself and my staff get very stressed because we have a lot of details that we're working out. But we're going to start with our fearless Joe Daly, pictured there in his charming hat, with Know Before You Go sessions coming up, not this Monday, but the next Monday. This Monday, he's going to do what's called his pancake run for the staff, where he's going to test it all out. Just this morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time, I had the honor of joining this SAP breakout. This is going to be day 1 keynote. Actually, this is Maida and Frederick talking about how the new job of the FinOps team in an organization is to maximize the value of the tokens. Jensen calls it a token factory effectiveness. That's what they're going to show you, is how to build that framework. They're doing it at massive scale. Their slides aren't Corp Comms approved yet, but I saw some amazing things about how token costs or token usage is skyrocketing. They're able to bring token costs down dramatically, and they're pushing out a whole new control plane across the organization to manage that evolution. This is all I'm hearing about right now in executive conversations, is the management of tokens. And we're excited to see this presentation, day one of the FinOps X keynotes. I think I already said 38 days, but I talked to Steve Trask this morning. He gave me an okay to do this. We're going to do a 24-hour sale on tickets. If you haven't bought your ticket yet, this is only applicable to those who haven't bought their tickets yet. AI Summit is the code. This is Suha told me it's 47 point something. I'm bad at math. Discount only for the next 24 hours. We're going to share this a little bit later, but grab this code and go grab a ticket now. All right, we are into the content, and I'm very excited to welcome a long-term community member, and now I guess long-term staff member. He's been here a bit. Jonathan Morley was in the community doing FinOps at CME Group with Leslie Nolan and Kevin Krantz and all that crew you know. He became a FinOps certified instructor and joined our staff a couple years ago, and is now running our advanced program, and it's a key contributor on the staff tech sponsorship. So Jonathan is going to tell you about AI for FinOps. Over to you.
Hello, everyone, and thanks, JR, for that introduction. I will now attempt the impossible, 10 slides in 10 minutes. But JR, we'll start on the next slide, and we're going to explore a quick overview how AI is transforming the way we are managing technology value, moving our practices from simple observation to more autonomous action. A common question we hear: why does a data foundation need to come before AI? As Alex Landis from Snowflake explains, without a data foundation built to actually operationalize your information, AI can really struggle for context. So we can view this as a maturity path. We start by moving away from disconnected manual spreadsheets toward a data foundation with common data and standardized unit economics. With that foundation, generative AI allows us to summarize data on demand. And eventually, agentic AI moves us to a state where agents can monitor, investigate, and act proactively. So on the next slide, it's important for us to understand the distinction between those two primary forms. Generative AI functions almost as a high-level assistant. It answers questions when asked. It assists a human doing the work, typically handling one question at a time. Agentic AI, on the other side, is the autonomous layer. It can monitor data continuously, investigate issues, and take action independently across a technology ecosystem. It collapses complex, multi-step, manual workflows into sometimes a single automated step, perhaps performed autonomously. On the next slide, practitioners on the ground are already seeing a significant impact. One senior practitioner at a North American technology company reports a 50+% action rate on Slack messages where agents have identified resource owners and sent personalized notes. We have a few working groups right now that are exploring both AI for FinOps and FinOps for AI, so you'll be seeing some great content from those shortly as well. As a former software engineer, I know that we can never write enough manual automation to find the long tail of things we don't know. That's the quote. There are unknown unknowns. But AI is the tool that helps us find that unknown and helps us to target the right message to the right person at the right time. On the next slide, we'll take a look at use cases. There are 6 key use cases that I'm hearing practitioners are building today. The first is natural language dashboards. Agents here ingest raw data and they generate on-demand reports. No spreadsheets required. Show me a summary of this service from this account on these dates. Okay, cool. Now present it this way. Promptable dashboards. And we'll see a bit of some of this today on the summit. I'm also hearing about autonomous waste discovery, where agents investigate unused resources. They might create Jira tickets. In the real world, this can be practitioners reducing their investigation time from 10 or 15 minutes to nearly 0 minutes. and it aligns really well with what we continue to see important in the State of FinOps survey data: waste reduction. The third one on your screen, continuous improvement, continuous delivery, the pipeline guardrails. We're shifting left by checking our infrastructure as code against policies before the deployment, not after the bill arrives. I love this because it's proactively reducing technical debt. The fourth one's personalized outreach. Some of that automation and that tailored messaging via Slack or some other communication platform to the last user of a resource, for example. The personalization here makes this feel more natural and it's more influential at organizations. Governance shows up, creating pull requests automatically for those developers to address the findings in a more automated way. It better fits their workflow, allowing FinOps to meet those folks where they are. And contextual labeling, where AI agents can analyze resource connections to better enable showback and accountability through smarter tagging or labeling. Imagine a set of missing tags that can be inferred and applied without needing to chase anybody down to change anything at all in their workflow. On the next slide, we'll talk some common hangups for getting started. As you begin that journey, keep 3 things in mind. First, there is a trust gap. Most organizations are not ready for full autonomy in production. Currently, agents should be seen as companions or co-designers with human in the loop as the default for that verification. Don't let AI delete your important information. The second is the innovation paradox. There's a tension between cost governance and AI creativity. Don't stifle innovation by requiring a positive NPV on every early stage experiment. Fund those initiatives for shorter periods of time with more frequent reviews instead. And we'll probably need to start thinking about some new concepts, like maybe cost per thought. Tracking metrics like cost per inference call and tokens against their budgets are becoming as important as tracking the compute resources that those might be managing. Let's advance to the working group slide. There are loads of words that are on your screen at this moment, but our AI for FinOps working group is currently refining some standards for prompt engineering best practices. This is a great resource for practitioners looking to ensure that their AI models return consistent, cost-effective, and accurate results. You can hear more about these on our community calls, and you can find the latest on finops.org under topics. Some of these might feel a bit common sensey, but nothing is really common sense to a brand new baby AI agent. Explicitly state your intent, provide the format of the results that you're expecting, feed it some examples, ask it to self-validate, and like FinOps, take an incremental approach to your improvements. So on the next slide, what are we hearing in the field? Well, we're hearing that you don't need agentic AI to start managing AI spend right now. You can use model routing to match task complexity to the cheapest but capable model. You can use fast rejection to catch some off-topic queries before they incur that inference cost. And you can use response shaping to constrain some of your token generation. FinOps teams at Barclays are already using cost per message metrics, that was a tongue twister, for their executive trade-off decisions. And teams at Snowflake use AI-built commitment modeling to iterate during their negotiations. Remember, many organizations are now self-funding AI through the optimization savings in that existing spend footprint. That reminds me a lot of FinOps early days, how many of our FinOps teams were funded. So my second to last slide, AI is not a future state. The shift to this orchestration is already underway. FinOps for AI is the #1 forward-looking priority for 2026 because automation is now a core capability in our practices and at our organizations. Use AI to scale your practice and close the gap between identifying an issue and taking quick action. We'll have links in the chat to all of the resources that you see on the right-hand side. Finally, my last slide, 10 slides in 10 minutes. In case you missed it, our FinOps for AI training series and certification is available. For those joining us at FinOps X, we're offering a 50% discount with your registration. Use these learnings to build your skills. With that, folks, I'll hand it back to JR, and I look forward to seeing many of you in San Diego.
Amazing. Thank you, Jonathan. That echoes a lot of things I've been hearing, particularly around the tension between enablement innovation and the potential budget handcuffs that some are being asked to put on. At our own Linux Foundation Leadership Summit this week, I heard, folks like our CEO talking about using more AI, and then, folks on the finance and legal side are also saying, well, wait a minute, we have budgets and we have compliance and policies as well. So that tension is real at all size organizations. Hey, I'm also very excited to announce 2 new FinOps Foundation staff members who are going to be joining us in full-time positions here at the Linux Foundation coming up. First, I'd like to welcome a gentleman I got to see briefly this week in Utah when I was there just a few days ago, Beau Nelford, who is joining us from Angle Point. Thank you, Ron, for our lovely conversation a few weeks back, who is going to be our focused technical community architect. Beau, can you take 30 or 45 seconds to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Beau. I came into the FinOps world the way that a lot of us did, accidentally, about 10 years ago, coming from a DevOps and cloud engineering background. Most recently, I've been working with Ron at Angle Point, leading the FinOps charge there and working with ITFM and cloud cost management space with enterprise clients and things. And you see me on there teaching at Brigham Young University. We taught, I was an instructor as well, and we taught some courses there and at NYIT as well. I'm joining the FinOps Foundation as a staff technical community architect for Focus, focused on growing the community, bringing more data generators into the ecosystem, and helping practitioners actually adopt Focus in their work. So come find me at FinOps X. I'd love to connect and talk with you about things.
It's a very focused intro. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Beau. Great to be glad you're here. Okay, I'll stop with the focus jokes. And Henrique, who is joining us from Crayon and has been a longtime community member and is running the Danish FinOps community already. Over to you.
Yeah, happy to be here, everyone. So happy to be starting 1st of June. So come find me at X. My name is Henrique. I'm originally Brazilian, based out of Denmark. I started FinOps in the Danish Ministry of Taxation. And then I've been FinOps consultant at Crayon/Software One. And I'm still there for the month of May. And I'll be leading Europe for the FinOps Foundation. I'm super excited for this opportunity. I hope to see many of you at X and then in Amsterdam afterwards. So hope to see you with me over there.
Excited to see both of you at X, and Henrique, it was great to chat with you in London and see you interacting with the community. So excited to grow the European community, and we have an X Day event coming up in Amsterdam that he's going to be going all after as soon as we get through FinOps X. That's in September. Another longtime community member is our next speaker, Amit. Kinha originally was at Goldman Sachs in the community, then was building a bunch of cool FinOps stuff with our old friend Udam Dewaraja at Citi. He then became a FinOps ambassador, was on the Focus Steering Committee, and then went to be field CTO at DoiT, where he's now joined the FinOps Foundation Governing Board as part of that role. Amit, great to see you.
Thanks for having me, JR. Hey, everyone. So what I want to talk about for the next 8 minutes, hopefully, is about from alerts to agents. How do we think about everything that we've been talking about from the AI perspective, but how to frame it in a way that we can actually get to a place where we are using AI and it doesn't feel like this Herculean task to get there. So the framework that I often follow is very similar to what we've been talking about in the FinOps Foundation for a while, right? Crawl, walk, run. And for me, this fits very neatly into how I think about AI for FinOps as well. Crawl is all about conversational AI. Instead of playing the game of telephone where the CFO asks a question, goes to the IT director, goes to the practitioner, we build a report and dashboard. Instead, we can just ask the question that was actually needed to answer. Walk is where we moved away from that and we build on top to actually use AI to help understand how do we shift left with the engineers and not just be after the fact, cost police. And then finally, agentic is where I think there's a lot of hoopla around agentic AI. And what does that really mean? And some of the pitfalls associated with all of these things. So jumping into crawl, the first one, right? If you go to the next slide, yeah. So for me, conversational AI is the place where we can all get started, where I think a lot of us are today, right? And like I said, if you think about how we get information today, all the questions we ask from our cost data, it's a means to an end. And oftentimes that report leads to reports and dashboards that people will consume from. And oftentimes there's a lot of layers on top of just getting the cost data extraction that we have to think through. And so, for example, if a CFO asks for PPA discount, where our renewals coming up, what should we think about? What is the commitment level? Savings plans, right? Where are we today as far as on demand goes? And what should we purchase? And what's the strategy there? Now, oftentimes there's a lot of work that goes into this. And I think conversational AI is something that can actually help with that in a way that we can start to replace a lot of this monotonous work that we're doing as FinOps practitioners and be replaced by just asking the question and then getting an answer that you're actually confident in. Other examples may include double-clicking into your cost, right, to understand why there was a jump for 20% over the weekend. And instead of having to do a lot of work, maybe just ask that question and be able to get that answer. The best practice here to me is, there's a lot of context that we want to add. Right? We'd love to be able to add in a lot of user groups and everything else. But to me, starting from just cost data alone is okay. Right. I feel like when we start with the core data or the BigQuery exports or whatever focused data sets you may have, and trying to build context slowly on top of it is the best way to go there. Now, there's some challenges that, as you can imagine, would pop up here. And to me, the biggest one is that I think initially there's still a misnomer that FinOps is all about saving money. It's all about optimization. And the inclination might be to just start jumping into that immediately. And for me, the pitfall when I first started seeing this within my customer base was that oftentimes when you start using conversational layer, you start to realize there's so much cleanup you have to do, right? There's a level of inaccuracy that's in your data that we paper over, and that might include that tags. We know that PRD, capital production, prod, is all the same thing. And we know in Excel that we massage the data to make it, sanitize it. However, the agentic AI side, the conversational AI is not going to know that, right? Similarly, if you say, the bill for your specific team, the show back or charge back was 20,000. Well, we have a deal with your managing director. We know it's going to be 10,000. A lot of this tribal knowledge that exists in Teams or in a Confluence page is not going to show up on when we start using conversational AI, right? And oftentimes that is where I think there's an opportunity, right? On one level, you could look at it and say, yeah, it doesn't work for us. We tried using conversational AI and it was incorrect, so let's not use it. But the alternative is we see it as a reason to actually do the cleanup we've been wanting to do forever, right? Finally, migrate your internal data sets to focus that you've been talking about for the last number of years. Be able to look at the tagging strategy and realize, yeah, maybe now it's time to simplify our tags so they actually are salient and kind of make sense for someone who doesn't need a month or 2 months of context understanding to realize this doesn't belong here or vice versa there. As at the end of the day, like AI is not going to know anything in your brain otherwise. So I feel like now is the opportunity to fix that. Okay, so let's shift gears. So say you're in a good place, you did the cleanup, and conversational AI is in a good place. You're able to ask questions and get answers that are actually affecting business outcomes, which is the whole point anyway. For me, the second stage is where I think the biggest ROI will be, which is shifting left. And the idea is there, instead of catching problems for cost after the fact, the FinOps moment, as I like to call it, you want to get ahead of it. And oftentimes the way we get ahead of it today is, say you have an infrastructure as code, and you may have preventative policies in place. And I think we can do better, right? We can do better in that, imagine when someone opens a pull request, we can actually comment on it with the understanding we have of not only our cost data, but maybe layering in also we know the savings plans for specific instances. So someone wants to spin up a cluster in Kubernetes for, say, an R5, that there's a savings plan for an R6, and you can actually leave that comment and get people to understand why we're asking to do something there. Another example could be that in a place where there's no right or wrong answer, and oftentimes it feels like the FinOps team at scale is almost consulting, right? Consulting your product teams, consulting your downstream users who are actually using cloud. Oftentimes they feel frustrated because they're like, there's a pressure on me to be efficient, and yet I don't have any tools there. Being able to plug into the IX pipeline, being able to plug in to meeting the engineers where they are, so it becomes a resource for them to learn about your environment as well as FinOps as well is a value that I think finally we can get to and not just talk about shift left there. Now, the challenge here for me is, look, I was an engineer for a decade, and I still do believe this. It's the AI part is not that difficult per se. The hardest part is going to be getting engineering to listen. And the reason for that is not that they don't care. I think engineering often feels like we're getting very generic insights. We're getting a lot of data before that didn't apply to us. Recommendation to switch to ARM processors, but our quant libraries only run on Intel for whatever reason. Or, we become very restrictive to say, you must look at the comments from the FinOps team in architecture review. And to me, it feels very similar to if you're an engineer and you mandate that someone must have a Jira ticket associated with something. If you're able to not do that, right, and actually give to real comments and move the needle, it's a much better place where you're no longer just a cost police, but you're a team that's helping engineering there. I have 30 seconds, so I'm going to run through the last one now, which is agentic AI. And agentic AI is, we shift away from this idea of AI helping you as a FinOps practitioner to almost being a team member on your team. An example I use here is that, when an anomaly pops up, what if the AI could actually analyze it, figure out this noise or a signal, recommend the action, and sometimes takes the action itself. The challenge there is going to be, obviously, you'll want to automate all the big things first. Next slide here, JR. Oh, okay.
Go ahead, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Okay, so the challenge here is going to be you'll want to automate the wrong things first. You'll want to automate the big moving pieces like commitments and XYZ. But to me, the challenge here is going to be that if you do that and you're wrong, you're going to shut the whole program down. You're not going to have time. You're not going to get the buy-in from leadership when you shut down production or you get the wrong level of commitment. So the only point I want to make here is that you want to automate the things that are boring first. Tagging enforcements, idle resource cleanup, non-prod shutdown on the weekend, and so forth there. And so finally, to get started there's only 3 questions that I want to leave you with, which is first locate where are you today? Most of you will be in crawl, and that's okay. Second one then would be pick the highest volume, most time-intensive thing that you can start to automate, and finally start moving up the stages there. So, do the cleanup, find the workflows you can automate that aren't risky, and finally, then start thinking about the next stage there. And if you're interested, at DoiT, this is the framework we've been following. We're baking this into our platform. And around the agentic side, I can't share yet, but we're doing a private beta already. As a FinOps practitioner as a service, please reach out to me, and I'm more happy to share more. All right, I was over 1 minute. Thank you.
Perfect. Great to see you, and looking forward to catching up in San Diego. There'll be a lot of topics at FinOpsX, and all of these topics are also now represented on the FinOps.org website, which means all of these topics are going to have open source best practices attached to them. If they're not already there, there's more coming. So check out FinOps.org community topics on all of these. Another longtime community person. We had to do the journey slides on this one, but Dan Berg, it was at we found him when he was at Datadog doing FinOps, then he was at Full Story doing FinOps. He became a FinOps ambassador. Then he went to the vendor side and did community efforts at Vantage. Then he came back to the FinOps Foundation and helped us with a bunch of community calls that he's still helping with. And he's now got a great job in New York at Squarespace. And Dan, looking forward to hearing from you. Great to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much, JR. So this is basically going to be a preview of my talk at FinOpsX called AI for FinOps from Hype to Helpful. Usually I like my talks to be really kind of like in the weeds with actions that you can do. So we're going to kind of do that a bit, but it's going to be kind of high level here. And when we get actually to the talk in San Diego, we'll actually get into the weeds. So the framing of this is, as you've all heard from all of the talks today, and I'm sure all of your listening to podcasts and everything else, AI basically is table stakes. It is what is going to be required to succeed at your job. And you can understand this, you can think it, you can believe it, but it's a different thing to kind of have that concept and then know what to do when you actually get into the office on Monday morning. You're like, okay, great. I'm in. I think AI is going to change everything, but like, how can I actually use this? And so we're going to dive into that a little bit here and then in more detail during the talk at FinOps X. Next slide. So one of the examples is a few people here talked about the importance of context. And I think a lot of people had a similar experience when they first started playing around with AI. You might have just used it casually, asked some questions, had some surprise, like, oh, this is actually really useful. And then you start using it in a business context and you like, give it your billing data and you're like, write me a SQL query to find these GKE namespaces, for example. And you realize, oh, that doesn't just work like magic in the same way when you ask it to write you a poem, right? It's a little bit different. And the thing that you learn, the lesson that you learn is you need to provide additional information in order to actually make the query and the LLM useful. And so the foundation is coming up with a fantastic group of resources for prompts. But at a high level, I think the way to think about it is, first of all, you got to provide context. So schema, label taxonomy, billing export structure. An example of this that's really hands-on, if anybody here is using GCP, if you go to the billing console, you can play around to find a view that you want, and then they have a generate query button. And if you generate that query, just copy and paste it from BigQuery into your LLM of choice and ask it to make explicit changes. You are, by the very nature of doing that, providing it that context that will allow it to succeed in the task. So making sure that it has the context is required to actually get usable answers. Also, having a constrained ask, being specific. So show the top 10 namespaces by cost this month, group by team label. You need to know what you're asking for in order to get a valid response. And lastly, most importantly, you have to be a skeptic with all of this. So what assumptions did you make? What might be wrong? You should double check this manually. You can go back and forth with the AI to explore this, but this is super important. And I'll explain why on the next slide this is kind of so important. I want to sort of present a framework for what AI is, kind of taking a step back within the world of technology. So AI, at the end of the day, is just another layer of abstraction. It's kind of the ultimate layer of abstraction. And if you're not familiar with the concept of abstraction, basically computers are starting with bits and bytes, and you kind of have assembly language as kind of the lowest level of abstraction. And then you have a language like C on top of that. And then branching off, you might have Python. Each of those are different layers of abstraction. And historically, that is how technology progresses. You have these abstraction layers that make it kind of easier to do things, you have more power. There's trade-offs, of course, but historically, when you have these abstraction layers, you have a human or a person who is building the abstraction layer and understands all of the logic that goes into it. And if you're really motivated and smart, you theoretically could go in and understand how C kind of behaves at the lower level. That's all visible. Now, the challenge with AI and LLMs is that all of that visibility into this layer of abstraction is gone. We don't have visibility into it. AI researchers don't even have visibility into it. The LLMs are sort of a big black box, and you can kind of look at the numbers they're spitting out, but you don't actually know how they're arriving at the answer, which means this is sort of the first technology abstraction layer where there's trust involved, which is sort of strange and needs to be double checked. And so until there is some way to like build that trust for an LLM, and I don't know what that looks like, we are not there yet, it's super important to understand that what you are doing when you're asking a prompt is adding a layer of abstraction where you can't actually trust what is happening in that AI model as much as it is. Because I'm sure we've all had experiences with hallucinations, with wrong things, with a company's production database being completely deleted by Cursor. Things like that can and will happen. So it's super important for you to be checking the answer. All right, on to the next one. Just a little teaser more about kind of what we're going to be digging into more in my talk. I think one of the ways that you can make AI most powerful, aside from like building agents and things like that, is building your own personal AI home base. And this is kind of what I'm going to be exploring and we're going to be building together. It can be as simple as creating a directory, such as AI-home. One of the things that I use and I love, and you might as well, is something called Tmux, which allows you to create a session that persists and opening Claude code or whatever a CLI agent you're using in that. And then within this directory, within this home base, you can provide it all of the context for what you want. So maybe you have a list of common queries that you use, and that provides the LLM information about how to structure queries. You can provide it with references. You can add MCP servers to be able to connect and have abilities. You can build your own skills and again, collaborate with the LLM to do this. And then you'll sort of have two ways of interacting with the agents, right? You can either launch Claude Code within a code base if you're doing work on that code base. But if you're not, you can open this directory, whether it's in something like Cowork or in the CLI, and you will have an agent who is personalized to you that can answer all of your questions and has the skills and everything. And it allows you to kind of provide that context built in to shortcut having to build it over and over again. And I think one of the last things you can add that's super powerful when you're building this manually is memory. So ultimately, you can get something like OpenClaw, but unlike OpenClaw, which is all the permissions and really not transparent, you're kind of going from the bottom up, adding what you want manually so that you have it, and you're slowly and surely building this AI home base that can allow you to do all of your professional work kind of all in one place. And so, yeah, that's about it for me. We're going to be doing a detailed look at a home base, going over some real prompts. We're going to get into the weeds with all of this in San Diego. So hope to see you there. And thank you guys so much for your time.
So does anyone else feel frightened when Dan shows that abstraction slide and we don't know what's happening in the AI? Just like a little bit. That's all the AI apocalypse stuff coming right there. But it'll be amazing to see how that comes together. And this is what the conference is all about. And I think now more than ever, this reminds me of 2017, FinOps Land 2018. Nobody's got the answers with AI. Nobody's got the answers on FinOps or AI for FinOps. Everybody's figuring it out. Dan's Typey Cat, one is a good example of that, because that's what we want to come together to do. Even the really advanced folks, like some of the folks in the keynotes, they're still figuring it out, right? So come have those conversations, help us document what is going on, the latest and greatest. There will be a lot of AI content, shocker, at the conference. We're loosely orienting day one keynotes around FinOps for AI and day two keynotes around AI for FinOps. There's going to be a lot of, I'm expecting product announcements from clouds and others there as well, and some fantastic sessions. Chalk Talks, big favorite, not recorded session for you to get in a whiteboard room together. Keynotes are coming together very nicely. It's a lovely mix of practitioners from big companies, technology vendors, platform vendors, practitioners from smaller companies, foundation staff, coming together to share across all of these topics. This will be a powerhouse of 2 days of 90 minutes content. You will learn a lot and be wowed and awed as I have been in the prep sessions. Thank you to our sponsors of FinOps X. I don't know if anybody has ever put on a conference like this, but it is extremely complicated and extremely expensive. The FinOps Foundation aims to run these events at break even to support as much of the community as we can, and these sponsors help make that possible. Also really cool, we saw it last year from a bunch of the clouds. We're expecting a lot more this year. A lot of them are starting to make feature announcements, net new feature announcements at our conference that they announce there, not even at their own conferences. So we're hoping to see more of those this year, and we'll see a roundup of those coming. 38 days, there's your code for that. Now, we have a couple more interesting things that I want to hit with you real quick. We got about 5 minutes on the latest with Focus, and then we're going to hear from Shruthi at Google about all the announcements from Google Cloud. So over to Matt Kausert, Principal Product Manager for Focus.
Hey, everybody. Happy to share with you kind of progress with Focus to date. For folks that don't know, Focus is the FinOps open cost and usage specification. I want to share with you kind of progress that we've seen most recently. So you'll see that these, our number of data generators have definitely grown over time. I feel like every single time we have one of these summits, I'm talking about a new provider or an update to an existing provider. Just to note, Grafana just went GA with hourly granularity focus support as early as last week. So congrats to Grafana users. Again, this was based off of the feedback that we're hearing from practitioners as we work with providers to get progress and grow the provider base. You may also notice in the bottom right-hand corner, Redis is now announced support publicly for Focus 1.2. We go to the next slide, JR. And so they have public documentation that shows exactly how you can go about downloading your cost report within Redis. Again, I think I always knew Redis as like the database provider, but they do a whole host of other cloud and AI-oriented offerings. So I would encourage folks, if you're a Redis user, go ahead and take a look at your Focus export. Again, we're hitting hard on the data generator side of things, but we still do have planned support that's coming, supporting 1.3. So we have MongoDB, Oracle Cloud, Tencent Cloud, and Snowflake. So super excited to see those come out later this year. I think some of them you'll see before FinOps X, a few that you'll see after the fact, but we're definitely making progress. The reason that I bring this up, and again, this is coming straight from the State of FinOps data, is that the way that we go about growing the number of data generators that support Focus is through the inputs that come from practitioners. So you'll see here that we have a top level of support request. Again, if you have points of contact there or you're working at one of these companies and you're interested in supporting Focus, always happy to make the time to have those conversations, help you do an assessment or a diff on the difference between like what you're natively supporting now and how you can move towards supporting Focus. All right. I also want to talk quickly about the conformance program. So we mentioned during the last summit that the validator now supports Focus 1.3. That's important because the validator is key to us being able to do the Focus conformance certification. So I just want to announce that conformance for 1.3 is now open. So any data generators who want to get certified, we have an opportunity to do that now. You either reach out to membercert@finops.org, or you can ping me directly if you have questions. And we'll be announcing the data generators at FinOps X that have achieved certification by June. All right, and last piece in the last 2 minutes that we have, I want to just quickly talk through some of the capabilities that we are releasing with 1.4. 1.4 has been a lot of fun, so really appreciate all the contributions. We're actually wrapping up consistency review today, so this is cool for these things to hit on the same day. So we are now supporting invoices and billing periods as standalone data sets. You may be wondering why we're doing that. It's really strictly around invoice reconciliation. So using those common identifiers, the invoice ID, the invoice detail ID, within cost and usage to be able to map your usage line items, even if they're at different grains across both your billing and payment currencies. So super excited about that one. You'll also notice that we are expanding the categorization for contract commitments. So we launched contract commitments in 1.3, but now we're actually describing how the commitment is structured. So categorization, lifecycle timing, payment, currency identification, those are things that I think are going to be really critical. For 3, correction handling, we've added a new correction handling attribute. So this specifies what we're expecting when data generators are surfacing corrections. These are style, volume considerations, and we've added a handful of examples to the appendix. And then the last one for commitment programs. So you should think of your commitment discounts as well as your capacity reservations. We want to be able to let you know on a row-by-row basis what you're eligible for the given providers that you're operating across. And yeah, that's what I got, JR. Super pumped. Again, as always, please turn on your Focus data sets, get certified. You'll see us updating the Focus analyst training. We did it back in December. We're going to do it again later this year. As always, we're looking for more contributions. So please join us in scoping 1.5.
Thank you, Matt. I don't know for the rest of you who are in these FinOps related spaces, when you try and explain what you do to friends or family or kids, and They generally aren't super excited. And then you add like open source into that and specifications, and they glaze over further. And I love hearing Matt say how much fun it has been to build an open source billing specification with a bunch of people and process. And that's so cool, the enthusiasm that we'll have about fixing these problems together. So we were at Google Next, set of us, just a few, when was it? Last week? 2 weeks ago. Had a great time there, hosted a bunch of you for a keynote watch party and great conversations with Google customers and the Google team. And we want to welcome Shruthi from Google Cloud, who is a product manager working with Sarah McMullen, who you've met, and Millen there and Pravir, to talk a little bit about some of the previous announcements that just came out. Shruthi, great to see you again.
Thank you so much. So obviously, our focus this year has been on AI spend. And with that, we are happy to announce some of the new Google Cloud Platform native FinOps releases that you can take advantage of to help simplify your AI financial management. With that, we are proud to introduce the FinOps AI Explainability Agent now on the front page overview of our billing console. Instead of a reactive chat where you have to prompt an agent for help, this agent is proactively scanning your footprint and is designed to tell you why your costs changed even before you ask it a question. Standard cost reporting fails because it's impossible to synthesize costs across a wide range of dimensions. With the FinOps AI Explainability Agent, you can now understand inference costs, what models are actually driving your spend, example, Gemini versus ChatGPT, or modality, such as text versus image versus video. Further, you can correlate costs with actual token consumption. We can show you where you're spending money on input versus output so you can optimize prompt architectures for each model. We can also pinpoint agent spend via your own user-provided labels, tags, or via API key or service account. You can understand not only what is driving your spend, but who is driving it as well. The AI Explainability Agent produces thorough insights so you don't have to dig in to understand why. We tell you. We can move to the next slide. JR, can you? I covered this, yeah. All right. To truly understand AI value, you need the total picture of the spend. That is the return on investment, ROI denominator. So you can see the cost per customer transaction or cost per marketing campaign executed by your agents. And you will see us starting to improve our skill sets here with this agent this year, starting with bringing in infrastructure layer relationships for RAG, as well as GKE and compute alongside more granular breakdowns. This is truly just the beginning of our next generation of cost understanding. So now that we have more visibility into what we are spending, let's figure out what we can do to guardrail it. Today, a single runaway script can cause a massive billing spike before you even notice. Our current tools only alert you. They don't stop the bleeding. And when you finally do enforce a hard stop, it takes a long-winded process that shuts down the entire project, causing unacceptable collateral damage to unrelated workloads. And to solve for this, we are launching spend caps on Google Cloud budgets. Following a recent launch of spend caps for the Gemini API in AI Studio, we are bringing the same native protection to the broader platform with spend caps for Google Cloud budgets, where we will shift from reactive alerting to proactive automated enforcement on the Cloud Budgets tool that you're already using today. With a single click, you can now put a cost boundary around unpredictable AI traffic, stopping runaway spend in its tracks without deleting resources or impacting your underlying infrastructure. So here's how it works. You can access spend caps from our existing budgets tool and set either a spend cap budget or a regular alerts only budget. Currently, the default timeframe for spend cap budget is monthly, and it can be set only on a per project per service basis. Once a cap triggers, a usage block is enforced only on the selected service within the specified project. All other services and projects operate as usual. Add to that, there will be no deletion of resources or data. And that's what makes this feature a one-click, non-destructive guardrail. We purposefully chose to go private preview first so that we are able to work with our customers in carefully evolving this product. In this first iteration, we are offering spend caps on 5 services: Gemini API, agent platform, formerly known as Vertex AI, Cloud Run Functions, and Maps. Spend caps on AI services will be triggered relatively faster than non-AI services, which will be on the current reporting latency. Further, cap-related alerts are sent to all billing administrators and project owners of impacted projects. Once when your spend reaches 50% of the cap, and once when it reaches 100%. Additionally, suspending or lifting the cap is equally easy. All you need to do is click Suspend Spend Cap from the tool and resume normal operations. It is equally easy to adjust the cap, raise it, or delete it altogether. Currently, only users with the roles of billing administrators and project owners are able to configure or suspend a cap. And lastly, you can monitor all your budgets, including the spend capped ones and alert only ones from your existing budgets dashboard. So, how can you sign up for the private preview? Scan this QR code and fill out a quick form to express your interest. We will be onboarding customers in cohorts with the first one beginning in May. While spend caps are a critical addition to our enforcement capabilities, but they are just one piece of a broader cost control ecosystem that we are building. In Q4 last year, we made anomaly detection generally available, and the launch included improvements that made the product smarter, more automatic, more proactive, and more customizable to suit your specific needs. Our improved algorithm now provides automated AI-generated anomaly thresholds based on your historical spending patterns. We've now introduced an additional threshold for percentage deviation that filters your anomaly dashboard and alerts not only on an absolute dollar value, but also on a percentage change. We've made anomaly alerts default for all customers on all their projects. Default alerts will be sent to all billing administrators. And lastly, anomaly detection is now offered even for new accounts and projects with no prior spend history. This helps ensure that you are protected on Google Cloud from the get-go. So with anomaly detection and spend caps, we have given you a robust defensive playbook. But cost governance is only half the battle. Once you have locked down the unexpected, the next step is optimizing the predictable. So let's now talk about how we are giving you better commercial flexibility to maximize your purchasing power and track those commitments. We have launched a new top-level billing account named Account Group to group all your organization's billing accounts under one parent. We have rolled this out to customers who have a direct enterprise agreement with Google Cloud with billing accounts from a single payment scope to start with. And now we have all the billing accounts grouped. We can now show consolidated spend in one place across all your billing account group hierarchy in a consolidated cost reports view, including subscriptions from other eligible services, including Workspace, Looker, Mandiant, and Apogee. And finally, we saved the best for the last. We are happy to highlight we now have commitment tracking reporting rolling out for customers with standard enterprise agreements. With commitment tracking reporting, we track your eligible spend towards your current commitment period and your current commitment drawdown progress across your Google Cloud services, other eligible services, and 3P marketplace purchases. We are targeting rolling out to half of enterprise agreement customers by end of Q2, with 80% by end of the year. This is next-gen FinOps for the AI era. Our FinOps explainability agent to see, spend caps to protect, and billing account groups alongside EA reporting to scale. And this is only April. We are also moving fast, so please sign up and try out these releases. We also hope to see you at FinOps X in June, where we can keep the conversation going.
Excellent. Thank you, Shruthi, for that. A lot of cool stuff coming. One of the best things about the conference, I always tell people, is that we get all the product people there from all of the clouds, from all the major tooling vendors and platforms, all the thought leaders. We ask them not to just send salespeople for their booths. We ask them to send the product managers and thought leaders that they can dig in on. And reminder, if you want more things like focus from your providers, that's where you can go talk to the providers and ask them for what you need. So it's the last time I'm going to throw this up. This is only available now for about 23 hours. If you want to get the last chance to get the cheapest ticket, 4X, there it is. I'm going to throw a quick poll as we go to the next bit here, just to kind of get a sense of who is coming. So why don't you go ahead and answer that if you can, if you're coming, or if you can't. And we've heard a lot of really good reasons people have weddings and, graduations and things. We get that. But, if you're in that can't get funding but wish I could group, which is looking to be a very large group of you, let's talk. Like, let's figure things out. If hotels are too expensive for you there's a lot of hotels around it. Our main Marriott hotel reservation block is sold out. There are hotel rooms available next door at the Hilton that we also have discounted rates on. If you're self-funding and you're a practitioner, let's talk. Reach out to Joe Daly and have a conversation. We want to have as many of you there as possible. Excellent. I'm going to end the poll. Great to see. Interestingly, fairly split between, no, you're still coming in. Okay. Boom. There we go. So good chunk of you coming, good chunk of you not coming, and a bunch of you who wish you could come but couldn't get funding. So let's see what we can do.
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. For more FinOps content, go check out our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and leave comments and questions for all of our wonderful speakers. We appreciate your support.